Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I'm really glad you're joining us today because we have a truly fascinating and honestly essential breakdown to get into. We're diving into a brilliant source document called The Canadian Realist, a Newcomer's Survival Guide. Look, moving to a new country is a huge, brave step that can completely change your life. But the reality on the ground? It rarely matches the glamorous, perfectly filtered myths we see all over social media. So today, we're stripping away those aesthetic illusions and looking at the ultra-realistic truth of what it actually takes to survive and thrive during that critical first year in Canada. So this brings us to a massive question right out of the gate. Is the Canadian dream exactly what it seems online? Because our source material urgently reveals a hard truth. Arriving unprepared often kicks off a harsh cascade of unexpected issues. We're talking severe financial stress, mounting debt, deep loneliness, and super frustrating career roadblocks. These are serious, compounding mistakes. But the good news, by unpacking this together, we can figure out exactly how to prepare for them and avoid them entirely. Okay, let's dive into this. Today's explainer is structured into 4 main acts. First, surviving the financial shock. Second, navigating jobs and credit. Third, overcoming social isolation. And finally, mastering the system. Let's start with Act 1, surviving the financial shock. This is honestly the very first hurdle newcomers hit, literally the second they step out of the airport. There is a stark gap between expectation and reality here. You might assume you can arrive with a suitcase and minimal savings and just jump right into work. But the reality? Finding stable work can take months. People drastically underestimate how incredibly expensive Canada really is. And during those months of job hunting, the rent is due and bills hit your bank account relentlessly. Watching your minimal savings drain that fast creates a very real, immediate panic. And that panic is often supercharged by where people choose to land. We've all seen the cinematic, perfectly filtered videos of cities like Toronto and Vancouver. They look incredible online, right? But the reality on the ground is an intensely high cost of living. Choosing an expensive city purely based on how trendy it seems online is a major, major trap. You're voluntarily throwing yourself into the most expensive urban environments possible before you even have a stable income. Plus, the source points out something we call lifestyle pressure. This is the temptation to try and maintain an immediate luxury lifestyle right after arriving. I mean, buying expensive cars or renting luxury condos and just constantly spending to keep up appearances. Giving into that pressure leads to rapidly growing financial stress and a mountain of debt. It takes an already expensive transition and turns it into a completely overwhelming financial crisis. All right, moving to Act 2, navigating jobs and credit. So you've secured a place to live, the honeymoon phase ends, and suddenly the systemic roadblocks pop up. The expectation is that you'll just land a high-paying job immediately, but the reality is often just a cycle of late-night job applications turning into painful rejection emails, primarily due to a lack of Canadian experience. The source material notes many newcomers struggle to even get interviews for this exact reason. So you really need to be prepared that your first job in Canada might be vastly different from what you expected or what you were doing back home. Now, here is a crucial thing you have to understand: the hidden metrics that govern your life here. Enter the credit score. This isn't just a random number. It's a vital, systemic metric that directly affects almost everything. When lenders look at you, this metric dictates your ability to secure apartments, take out loans, buy cars, and get credit cards. Our source highlights that many newcomers completely ignore this during their first few years. But ignoring this critical financial passport creates massive, entirely avoidable problems down the road when you actually need the system to trust you. Let's move on to Act 3, overcoming social isolation. Let's purposefully slow down for a second because we really need to address the deep internal struggles of immigration. It's not just about bank accounts and resumes. Look at this quote from our source. Loneliness, stress, and isolation can affect motivation and mental health. Think about the emotional weight of moving to a cold, entirely unfamiliar environment. It is immense. Yet this emotional side is frequently completely underestimated compared to the financial costs we just talked about. This emotional toll is a massive hidden cost, and managing this isolation is absolutely vital to surviving your first year. Think about it. Fighting through a stack of job rejections or dealing with money pressure is already incredibly tough, but it's twice as hard when you're battling it completely alone, feeling socially isolated in a new apartment, entirely disconnected from the city outside. Acknowledging this emotional reality and actively planning to build a community is the very first step to getting through it. Finally, Act 4, mastering the system. Here is where we turn the corner, because overcoming these challenges is entirely possible. It starts with building a new foundation. The people who succeed in Canada are the ones who learn how the system works quickly. We're talking about rapid-fire mastery of 5 pillars: taxes, banking, credit, jobs, and housing. The faster you understand these essential Canadian systems, the easier your life becomes. Fast learners are the ones who succeed, point blank. Honestly, you have to treat learning the system as your very first full-time job. Because despite all the harsh realities and difficult hurdles we've discussed today, Canada still offers incredible opportunity and stability. But, and this is the absolute core takeaway from our source material today, your realistic expectations are what make the difference. Your preparation is everything. Shutting those glamorous online illusions for grounded, documentary-style realism is the absolute key to rebuilding yourself financially and ultimately thriving in your new home. Which leaves us with this final, vital thought to ponder. Are your expectations realistic enough to guarantee your success in Canada? Take a second to think deeply about your own readiness. Are you truly prepared for the financial shock, the grueling job hunt, the initial emotional isolation? I invite you to seek out honest guides, ditch the social media filters, and boldly prepare yourself for the real journey ahead. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.